Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. The Greek word is pericope, and it means something like that which is lifted out or cut out. When we read our scriptures on Sundays, those readings are called pericopes. They are small sections of scripture that we read for that day, but they are lifted out of or cut out of the work as a whole. For example, John 3:16 is a pericope of the whole Gospel of John, or the story of Zacchaeus is a pericope of the whole Gospel of Luke. And using pericopes is both good and bad. It's good for use on a Sunday to guide the theme of the day and to focus us on particular stories in the Bible that we might otherwise overlook. It's bad because sometimes by using pericopes, we miss the larger sweep of the story and how this section we are looking at connects to what came before or after, or perhaps to an overall theme of the book in the Bible. This is going to be an ambitious week. My hope this week is to walk you through a good bit of the book of Genesis and to help us see it as a remarkable story about 4 generations in one family. And along the way, as we look at this family and their relationship with God, we might just encounter ourselves. Today, a bit of introduction. The first part of Genesis is often understood as prehistory. What I mean by that is that the stories of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, the Tower of Babel and Noah are important stories, but they can't be tied to a particular time in history by looking at other world events. The world was so young and new in those days that more modern structures and institutions weren't established. So the stories come to us a bit untethered by particular place and time. That doesn't mean they're unimportant. Rather, they are very important and speak to us eternal truths about God. It does mean we can't date them to a particular time. All that changes in chapter 11 of Genesis. Right after the story of the Tower of Babel, suddenly Genesis launches into a genealogy. Starting with Shem, the last of Adam and Eve's sons, it traces the generations all the way down until it comes to a man named Terah, who had a son named Abram, who had a wife named Sarai. And then there's a small little verse that is very easy to overlook, but its importance to the story of Genesis is immeasurable. It's verse 30, which says, "Now Sarai was barren. She had no child." That's it. But you see, what that verse points out is that the efforts of people end up in barrenness. All those generations had come to nothing because Sarai had no child. There was no more future. And as we go through Genesis over and over, that theme is repeated. The efforts and events surrounding people always end in death and emptiness. But then God does something new. God does a new Genesis, a new beginning, unexpected, unanticipated, exciting, fresh, and new. Over and over in Genesis, that happens. It's the story of human futility and of God entering our world with life. I remember many years ago I had taken my Bible study group through Genesis, and interestingly, right after we finished, we decided the next book we would study would be Revelation. The first book of the Bible gave way to the last book of the Bible. As we studied Genesis, we kept talking about God doing a new thing, And then as we worked through Revelation, we got to the end. And when God finally appears at the end of Revelation, God sits on the throne and says, "See, I am making all things new." From the beginning to the end, that's what God does. God brings life and freshness to our barren existence. If it's up to us, nothing. When it's up to God, everything. So today we end with a barren woman and no future ahead. Come along as we see what God will do. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.